Cullen live in 1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Okay, somebody said. Hello. Welcome. These Mondays just keep cropping up, don't they? Heavens. Hello there. It is Monday the 13th. Is that what it is? Okay. I guess that's better than Friday the 13th. How you doing? I have to tell you, I woke up this morning and I thought there was a fire outside of my bedroom window. I could see through the little slats in my blinds. The most, red, just red, flame red. I leapt out of my bed, ran to the window, opened it up, and it was the most glorious sunrise. Did you see it oh my God! It was bright red. The sky, I've never seen it so red. I mean, we're speaking vermilion. Is that red? Yeah. We're just unbelievable. And for anyone who saw it, wow, was that something? Jeez. I really don't know that I've ever seen the sky like that. I just stood there transfixed for a long time. Indeed. So, got a little bit of a strange, perhaps, morning. I am hoping that that we see some guests in the last half hour, but due to my incompetence, I think there were some mixed messages. So we'll hope. The guests, if they do come, would be those two extraordinary sisters, Jamie and Ali McMutrie, who founded that orphanage in Haiti. And they happen to be in town, and we do sort of on occasion to catch up with them and their work. But if they don't show up, totally my fault. Totally my fault. The other thing I just want to mention, because it happened in between the glorious sunrise and my sitting down here, when I walked from the bus to this building, I walked past a toy store. And in their window, they change their windows, I'd say, once a month. In their window now, featured prominently, is Raggedy Ann. And I think Andy. Okay. So, there is this doll that looks exactly like a doll that was a doll when I was a little kid, and I suspect was a doll long before I was a little kid. I don't know how far back Raggedy Ann goes, but my sense when I had a Raggedy Ann was that it was a sort of vintage, been there a long time, kind of a stuffed little toy. I mean, given how dolls look today, Raggedy Ann is so retro, it's unbelievable. And I have to admit, I was stunned. Do you mean kids today would... Do those things still sell? Raggedy Anns? Yeah? Did you have them? But today's kids, they would still like that, just a stuffed little silly looking thing like that? Sure. I guess. Okay, I'm just... So what do you make of the staying power of that stupid looking little doll? It's fascinating to me. I guess the staying power has to do with the fact, then, that parents and grandparents had the doll, and so there's this response to it, so it just keeps going? I don't know. I mean, very few other toys have hung on like that if they're so primitive. And that's a primitive kind of a doll, if you ask me. So anyway, I just wanted to ask. And you are telling me. Something is wrong with my email. I am not getting things that I forward. So I'm hoping that I get whatever you're possibly sending me. So that's all I have to say about anything in particular. What I was trying to forward to myself was something that I saw on my Twitter feed on the bus on the way here. It's a story that I had not heard of until I got on the bus, and that was that Christie's got another problem. And maybe you guys are ahead of me on this, but apparently, because I can't get the information here on my computer, let me try my little mini computer on my phone. It turns out that the federal government, specifically, I think the Department of Housing and Urban Development? How odd. Is investigating how Governor Christie used some millions of dollars that were given to him to superintend as part of a massive emergency funding or truly funding after Sandy, the hurricane, in which the Jersey Shore, as you well know, was truly devastated. There is a federal investigation now, unless you think that this is something that occurred after all this other trouble. No, it turns out a complaint was lodged with the Inspector General of the Housing and Urban Development Department in August about Christie's use of the money. I think there's as much as $25 million that they're talking about. And apparently he used a ton of money, millions, for an ad campaign, a television ad campaign that starred, this is a big shock, him and his family at the beach, or at the shore, as they say in Jersey. And it was to say, the Jersey Shore is still here, we're still here. All right, okay, but the odd thing, and I think the odd thing was that the company who came up with that campaign had a much, much higher bid than the others. And he gave he took the high bid and the bid that starred him and his family. And there's apparently a preliminary investigation yielded the finding that there is something to be investigated here in terms of how that money was employed. So, I mean, you could argue that generally that would not be a huge story, but coming in this time of trouble for the governor of New Jersey, another full-blown federal investigation, that's potentially a problem. So I don't have much more information, but there. Hey, the girls are here. I cannot believe they're here. No, we'll take them at around 10:30. I think they're willing to wait. So if you have anything you want to say about Christie, feel welcome. Unlike a lot of other people, I suspect that this is going to take him down, ultimately, but I cannot know that. I think the just general piling up of how narcissistic and what a creep this guy is will eventually turn off enough voters that and enough of the kind of base that he does need to scuttle his chances. Concerning me even more, though, is increasingly that I hear Republicans turning to the governor of Wisconsin, Scott Walker, as a plausible candidate. And good heavens, I mean, I have to tell you, Christie almost does look good next to Scott Walker, I think, in terms of politics. And Walker plays hardball, too. God, I don't know. When I think of Scott Walker, I think of somebody who has literally destroyed my home state and destroyed a political legacy of that state, a progressive political legacy that I didn't think would ever go down. It's just amazing to me. Amazing. But of course, he can't do it by himself. It takes misinformed, uninformed, and frankly, ignorant voters who, for some reason, keep falling for the crap that these guys spew. Speaking of spewing crap, let's head to West Virginia, where, as you know, on Friday I was fit to be tied because I couldn't believe that I wasn't seeing any coverage of this story in West Virginia, which I had noted the night before. And the local papers here, not a word. The local news, not a word. So late to waking up to how big a story this was. And as you know, I was proven right. It is a huge story. Continues to be a huge story. And I think actually will yield a lot of ongoing, I hope, scrutiny of facilities like this that are located up and down our waterways. It turns out, and now we find out, that in West Virginia, and I'm not sure what the law here is in Pennsylvania, but Pennsylvania is not known for stringent environmental requirements, I do not believe. Certainly not in recent years when given a choice between giving industry a gift or giving the environment a break, Pennsylvania politicians will give industry a gift. And those gifts come in terms of looking the other way, lax enforcement, or simply refusal to pass legislation that would give the government any ability to monitor just what the hell is being stored in facilities on our rivers. So it turns out that this particular storage facility had not had any inspection since 1991. 1991. Now, I'm not good at math, but it seems to me that's over 20 years. No inspection at all. And that was because state law did not require it. Why? Because it was a mere storage facility. It was not a processing or manufacturing facility. So somehow it was determined that the storage of potentially toxic chemicals is something that the state needn't trouble itself with. Well, as it turns out, we see that is not true. How many facilities do you think might dot the landscape here, the riverfront, where toxic chemicals are stored or used and we don't have a clue. The other troubling thing about the West Virginia spill is that it turns out that not much of any study has been done on this chemical itself. So that they're flying blind here. They're flying blind. They really don't know how much of this chemical could be safely, let's say, ingested by a human being. They really don't know. So they have just decided, by the way, they just sort of picked a number out of the air. I don't know if you're aware of that, but they did now. And they've decided that a concentration of, what is it, like 1 part per million is the figure that they, and these are the feds now, came up with what would be considered a standard for this chemical in the water. They don't really know. So the Agency for Toxic Substances and Disease Registry just sort of pulled out of a hat this 1 part per million figure as a safe level. Because there is, in fact, no drinking water standards. There is, in fact, no health-based standards for this chemical that's in the water in West Virginia. So that leads us to believe that it could be that 1 part per million is in fact not a safe level. They don't know, but that's what they decided they'll go with. It could be that that's a fine level. And it could be that where the water is now, whatever the saturation point is now, is in fact safe, and they could start flushing out everything, and people could have maybe tap water by tomorrow. But they don't know. So it is conceivable that these 300,000 people are being inconvenienced needlessly for a prolonged period of time because of the ignorance surrounding this chemical. Now, I have to tell you, I was surprised that there could be a chemical that could be stored near a water treatment facility in this country which had not been studied in terms of its impact on human health, and the facility itself was not determined to be important enough to be inspected. What does that tell you about potential for these kinds of things to happen in the future somewhere else? You know, we have this sort of false sense of security, I think, a lot. And in this age when, we're taking our shoes off at the airport and all of that, the concern about terrorism, and the terrorism concern is real in terms of pollution of water. That's a biggie that terrorists could strike in that manner, pollute a city's water supply. Well, now we find out, yeah, sure, and you don't even have to be a terrorist to pull that one off. Caller, hello?
Hi, Lynn. Good morning. Hey, I'll make it quick. First, that about Christie spending that money with his family on that ad and everything, that's part of what kicked off the fight between him and Rand Paul. Because Rand Paul had noted that those were basically ads, back when there was the controversy about the them just holding up the money for Katrina relief and everything. That was one of the things that Rand Paul kind of brought up.
Okay.
The fact that Christie was making these commercials with him, and they were basically campaign ads.
And the other thing you have to say about that is recall that was at a point where Christie was running for re-election. So
exactly.
Those were like re-election ads paid for by us.
So that's what that little thing about that. But
okay.
Dr. Scott Challoway, you're one of your former radio mates, this weekend on his show on Saturday morning had a professor on from Wheeling Jesuit University, and they talked about the spill. And one of the most astounding things and scary things is that spill was not found by the company and was not reported by the company.
That is correct.
And that spill was not found by the DEP.
Right.
That spill was found by somebody who tasted their water and realized it was funny tasting.
Who tasted the water and spit it out.
And then called the proper authorities. He was basically saying, this professor that Scott Challoway had on was basically saying, well, it's a free-for-all. It's the Wild West, and it is due in large part mostly to the Halliburton loophole.
When the Halliburton loophole, let us remind people, is as loopholes go, the mother of all loopholes. It is a loophole that says what? It's not just Halliburton. It is what? The chemical companies are not subject to the
oil and gas industry.
The oil and gas industry is not
from the
Clean Air and Water Act. I mean, you can't make that up. That the oil and gas industry was given an exemption from the very law meant to protect our air and our water.
Well, and you see the way that West Virginia goes as a voting body, and you think, damn you, West Virginia. And then you see the things that happens to the West Virginia and the state of the people of West Virginia, and you think, to some degree, poor West Virginia. I mean, this is it could have almost not happened in any more ironic place, or a place that would exemplify the state of that kind of the oil and gas industry. The public voting, whichever side of the voting you're on, whether you're a liberal, whether you're a Republican or a conservative, that whole deal.
But
kind of epitomizes that whole thing, and West Virginia is suffering the consequences.
Well, West Virginia,
it just makes me wonder if they'll come around at all.
No. West Virginia is a state that long ago made a deal with the devil, and its people made a deal with the devil. Didn't they? They have said we coal. Well, this is now. It doesn't matter. They have for years despoiled their glorious environment because that's the only place they could get work. And if you drive, I've been to Charleston many times, and then to the west of it. Actually, in the affected area, I know this area pretty well. The towns there, it's called Chemical Valley. You ride down those rivers, and there's towns with names like Nitro.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't be surprised if a town is named Toxicville or Poison. They have made their bed in that regard, and it is poor West Virginia. But because they weren't offered anything but that deal, it seems, in large part, if they wanted to eat or if they wanted to work.
Well, and then you said it the other day, you have towns named like that, and then you have this company named Freedom. It's just the epitome of what we're dealing with. So, okay, well, I just wanted to let you know about that.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you. It's just unbelievable. So the chemical that is wreaking economic havoc in the state to our south, plus you just imagine how people are living there with no water. I mean, that's and that chemical was not listed as hazardous or toxic and was not subject to any regulation or requirements. Caller, go ahead, please.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm pretty familiar with those areas that you're talking about, too. And I've never, when you're driving around in those areas between Charleston and over towards Huntington,
right,
to me
exactly.
It always, particularly Charleston, always reminded me of Western Pennsylvania. It seems extraordinarily similar. And
Agreed.
Of course, both of them are Appalachia. The exception is still Pittsburgh. But, if you go up towards Newcastle or south of Pittsburgh, everything looks identical to me, and I think that people could easily be in the same boat.
I do too. And I wonder if this will... Yeah.
Just, with the way things are going in Pennsylvania, I mean, it's, a matter of time until the same thing happens, as far as I see it.
I agree with you. But do you think it'll be a wake-up call? Do you think... See, I mean, the problem is, state legislatures, both the one in Harrisburg, ours, and the one in Charleston, theirs, are in the thrall of the chemical companies and the fracking industry.
I don't think it'll be a wake-up call because, what you're seeing now is, look how strong the people of West Virginia are and how they pull together. I mean, it's just like, we expect this stuff to happen, and then it happens, and so it's no surprise that it happened, and there's no reason to do anything. I mean, part of the reason that they're saying in the news in West Virginia that this happened is because they didn't have a plan for what would happen. They weren't aware this chemical was there, weren't aware that they should know, and frankly, they don't care. It's been dealt with, and there's an attitude of not planning for the future, and it's just maybe a click worse than in Pennsylvania. So
but you know what? It's not just West Virginia, and it's not just Pennsylvania. It's the feds too. Because I've got this from the Wall Street Journal. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency does not regulate most above-ground chemical storage. So there's no regulation. And then this particular drug is just one of tens of thousands of industrial chemicals whose effects on human health have simply never been studied. And yet...
Yeah, look at the whole thing with the fracking, and, they keep saying, there's never been anything proven that anything has ever happened. Meanwhile, in the 5 years they've been saying that, there's been numerous cases where groundwater has been proven to be contaminated by fracking, and somehow they're still able to keep saying that line, and people believe it, and they're pumping chemicals that are a complete secret into the ground.
That is correct.
Going on all over the United States right now.
That's right.
I guess it just is like the pendulum is still swinging in their direction.
Yes, it is.
People get pissed off and organized, it'll continue to go on.
Right. And I have a feeling, and I have a feeling that this happening to the poor people of West Virginia doesn't quite resonate enough. And that's one of the reasons I don't think this story was perceived as big as it was initially. Because this kind of crap happens to West Virginians all the time, right?
Yeah.
Coal mines
people
blow
of West
up.
Virginia that I know, they say, we were not surprised it wasn't a national story because we're always looked over.
That's right. Those West Virginians, what difference does it make? We don't identify them as, as people like us. I think
it's amazing
I think in some ways
we don't, considering they're 4 hours away.
Yeah, right. No, they're very much people like us. But I have to tell you, if this were to happen, imagine this happening not in Charleston. Let's let it happen just that little bit to the north, right here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
I keep trying to remember, what was that spill that happened? Do you remember that? In the 90s or something, there was a big spill going down the river, and they had to shut off the water intakes.
I'm not remembering.
All the way down as it flowed down the Ohio.
No. But let's say if it were 300,000 people in an urban center like Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, you think this story be playing out a little bit bigger?
I think. That's
no,
what I
it
keep
would.
thinking to myself. Well, 300,000 people, that is the population of Pittsburgh, right?
Yes. But if it happened here, it'd be more than 300,000. It would be over 1 million people without tap water.
Right.
If you took the 9 counties that Pittsburgh is
the
center
of. One
of.
positive thing of this is that West Virginia has one of those temporary legislatures that's only in session part of the year, and they're just coming into session right now. So.
So they can do just so much damage. Let's see if it wakes them up. If anything's going to... Okay, bye-bye. You have to figure that also the... because this happened in the state capital, the the lobbyists, the regulators, all those folks are themselves having to deal with it. But if you can't have anything that better highlights the extraordinary gaps that I did not know about, and I suspect maybe you did not either, in regulation of chemicals. That you can store them and no one's going to ask you what's in it, and no one's going to subject you to any kind of an inspection. And if you call up if there is a spill and you call the EPA in Washington, they don't have any, I don't know. Then you call the Federal Centers for Disease Protection and you say, hey, here's the chemical. It's in our water. Tell us about it. I mean, how lethal is this, or what do we... And the federal health people don't have a clue. Now, again, what is the political party that says get off businesses' back? All Democrats ever want to do is regulate and get in the way of the free market. Well, I wonder if West Virginians think more regulation is a good idea now. I mean, I'm thinking about 300,000 of them. If they think regulation of what can be on their rivers and knowledge of what is on their rivers, if they think maybe they should know. All right, my God, we have to take a break, and we'll get Ali and Jamie in here. So when we come back, our focus turns from one beleaguered place to our south to another much more beleaguered place, Haiti.
Stick around for more with Lynn Cullen Live after this.
Happy New Year from the all-new BurgBargains.com. Log on today for the best deals from your favorite local restaurants, bars, museums, and shows. Sign up for the weekly email update for your chance to win gift cards from Mad Mex, Sonoma, Kaya, Ceviche, Casbah, and NOLA. The all-new BurgBargains.com. Pittsburgh's best bargains. BurgBargains.com.
Chris, you're not acting like a grown-up in our relationship.
Am too.
There's your comic book collection, the race car bed.
I'm young at heart, but I put money into my 401k every paycheck. I'm taking control over my financial life, and that feels pretty grown-up to me.
Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free ideas and easy ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
Are those footy pajamas?
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Once again, here's Lynn Cullen.
Oh my God. Oh.
Oh, no.
Why? Does something look funny here? Okay, wait a minute. All right. We get here. No, just get in here closer. I got these two cute little things here, and
Hi.
Jamie and Ali, I'm not seeing you over there.
There we go.
Jamie, okay.
We'll sit on Allie's lap.
I don't have to be seen. I'm gonna get it. They can see me any old time. Just keep coming. Keep coming here and here. Okay. If you watch this program with any regularity, you've seen these two before. And even if you don't watch this program with any regularity, you might have seen them in some other venue, because even though they're not media hounds,
Thank you.
you're not in any way, they tend to find themselves in getting some attention, national and otherwise. Things have quieted down a little bit for you guys, haven't they?
Yeah. Quite a bit. Yeah.
Quite a bit. And you like that?
Yes.
So bring us up to date. What you are doing now is different in many respects than what you were doing before the earthquake.
Yep.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So go ahead, whichever one of you wants to tell us.
Okay, well, we kind of bounce back and forth.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so we're running Haitian Families First. And our work is focused on preserving families in Haiti. So, our years and years of experience working in the orphanage that we volunteered in before the quake taught us how many children there are in orphanages in Haiti that have living parents.
Have two parents.
At least one.
At least one.
And sometimes
but
both.
often. So, yeah.
Yeah, and that these children end up living in institutions because their parents are struggling to care for them. So really to boil it down, the gist of our work is providing options to families so that they don't find themselves in that situation.
So their children, in order for their children to live a good life, they don't have to literally give them up to someone who comes from another country and takes them away.
Right.
That they can somehow manage to stay in Haiti and be part of their lives.
Yeah.
That sounds like in many ways, a much more gratifying kind of an outcome for the two of you and for everybody involved.
Yeah. Yeah, we truly believe that it's the more sustainable option. It's the more it's just more positive all around for the children, for the parents, because nobody wants to give their child up.
No.
This happens because they feel they don't have any other option, and they do not know where to turn. And unfortunately, the social services and things like that in Haiti are so limited that it's not a priority to offer things like that to families. So that's really what we're trying to fill as Haitian Families First, is that gap where families don't know where to turn, so they turn to the orphanages because there are so many of them.
So normally a family would have a sick child, for example, and they'll take the child to a hospital, and the doctor will say, it costs this much money, but if you can't afford to pay for it, I know an orphanage that will accept the child. And so our organization has went into those hospitals and said, will you say, I know an orphanage, and also I know Haitian Families First, and you can contact them and they'll help you keep your child. And
They are.
Slowly, we've been allowed.
So you're getting referrals
clinics.
then, where it used to be just to an orphanage.
Right.
I'm going to move over more. I want you both to move over so they can see you. You know what? I can't
You
move
can
over.
come up like this. There you go.
Can you see these two now? Yes, I can. Okay. You don't need to see me sitting here in a hole. Okay. So, after the horror of the earthquake, and last time I talked to you, you were struggling with post-traumatic stress.
Yeah.
How's that coming? How's that coming?
I'm doing well.
Are you?
Yeah.
Is that an ongoing issue, or it is?
Yeah, I think it always will be. I don't know for sure, but it's something that, I'm aware of, and it pops up when it wants to, and I think it's better now that I'm not trying to push it away and pretend like I'm just okay, and to acknowledge that we went through a lot. Continue to go through a lot. Just life there is a lot, So Jamie's not as vocal about it affecting her, but it does. It affects us.
Yes.
Us both.
So, but you didn't, would you say you have post-traumatic stress?
Probably, but I haven't done anything about it.
I diagnosed her.
Oh, you did? You're saying, hey, lady.
I was here, you told me to go for help.
I don't know how anyone could go through what you two went through and not have.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, nightmares, to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
But
this week is tough. So yesterday was the 4-week mark of the earthquake. 4-year mark.
Was it?
Yeah.
Was it?
And so, that's a big day, but then this whole week was really when we were in Haiti, trying to figure out what we're doing. What are we going to do with all these kids? So this whole week is kind of a week that will always stick out for us.
Does it seem like 4 years ago? Does it seem
Sometimes
closer
it feels
or
so much
farther?
longer, and sometimes it feels like yesterday.
I bet.
We had a meeting last night, and someone told us something that we did that week. That we met with him, and we were like, "Oh, we don't even remember."
Don't have
that.
a
It's
clue.
Just,
Well, I can't even imagine.
Week.
I can't imagine. Now, before we get back to Haitian Families First, I just have to ask you this question because it drives me crazy. There are so many people, even in this city, and trying to do things in Haiti and for Haitians. I mean, I'm sure you know. I'm sure your paths have crossed all of them. I'm thinking of like Ian. Mm-hmm. why am I blanking on his name? Rosenberger. And his enterprise to bring actually some kind of a manufacturing jobs there. That seems to be, enjoying some success.
Yeah.
And and other people, you've got the Albert Schweitzer folks, hospital folks. And yet, every time you see any kind of report about Haiti, it just looks like the same God-forsaken land.
I think...
Is it getting any... I mean, think of all the money that went into that country after the hurricane. I mean, the earthquake. And then the hurricane.
Right.
And then the plague of locusts. And then the who knows what. I mean, it's just beyond belief.
Right.
And I'm wondering, where did it go? Do you feel constrained talking about this?
Yes. Honestly,
you do?
A lot of the money didn't actually get to Haiti yet. So a lot of money that went through USAID and the big organizations, it's still sitting there waiting for the governments on both sides to make decisions on where it should go, which is a good and bad thing. It's taking a long time, but they're trying to do the right thing and make programs that are sustainable rather than just
throwing money at it.
But yeah, a lot of money
4 years later.
We definitely have a personal issue that I'm not afraid to be vocal about.
Go ahead.
Is that we saw after the earthquake so many foreigners come in, offered full-time jobs from major aid organizations, and paid massive salaries to do so because, it's dangerous to live in Haiti. Not everyone wants, with a degree, who has a specialty in something useful, wants to live in a third world country. But we meet people, we're out and about, and the amount of money that people are being paid is like our annual budget to support 150 families every year. It's so frustrating.
And your sense is
that's a lot of aid money.
That could also be money given to Haiti. I mean,
Right. So creating jobs and helping Haitians to take control of their own lives is what we support. And a lot of money was spent on foreigners coming in, and then they left. And we said a lot of people come down, they start a program, they had money for a year, or they were interested for a year, and they leave, these people kind of halfway to a goal, and now they don't know what to do, and they don't have any options. And so then they come to organizations like ours, or Albert Schweitzer, that have been there forever, and they can go to places like that, but it kind of puts everyone a step back rather than helping.
But I think Ian Rawson, that's why there's two Ians.
Oh, yes, no, you're right, Ian Rawson, yes.
Yeah, has
two
been
Ians
at the Albert Schweitzer Hospital yesterday in an article that the Trib ran that they spoke with us about. He made a really good point that I know is kind of an obvious point, but Haiti has been struggling for a long time. And just to reiterate that the earthquake didn't cause Haiti to be poverty-stricken, and
no, it was. It was started out in a deplorable state,
and that's something that we remember, very well because we lived there for these years for a reason. We weren't there before the earthquake for no reason. There was a need. So we're not trying to get back to where Haiti was in the beginning of 2010 before the earthquake hit. We're trying to get back to Haiti hundreds of years ago when it was a beautiful
when there were trees.
Right.
When, I mean...
Right.
I don't know. Your capacity for optimism must be extraordinary because, I mean, as you say, people stay for a while. These other do-gooders, they come in, they stay for maybe a year, maybe even 2, and they might be getting well paid, and then they
move on.
Go. You stay and stay and stay.
We truly believe in our mission, and we think that Haiti will be a better place if families are strong, and that's where you have to start. You can't taking their people away or just giving them something isn't going to help, but to make them believe in themselves and care about each other. Well, they do. They'll care about each other and love each other, but giving them the ability to do that, and it's respecting them enough to care about their actual wants. And they want their kids, and they want a job, and they want that they want the things
What
that we all have, and we take for granted.
Exactly.
And we feel really strongly, there's days when we don't, but almost every day, that it's very realistic that we won't be necessary, like, in our lifetime. There's, guesstimates say there's 800 plus orphanages in Haiti, that there's about 30,000 children living in them, but that more than 80% of them have a living parent who wants to parent. So realistically, what's the simple math there?
I can't do simple math.
The number of orphanages that could be closed down if we had the resources to work with each of these families. It's a long process. It's not something that you want to do overnight because it's very traumatic for children. But with the support of the government, who we're getting positive feedback from,
I would
that
imagine
they believe in this and that it's a priority for them, it really is realistic for this problem to go away. So hundreds and hundreds of years of this, happening, and orphanages filling up with children and families being torn apart, it can go away. And it's not just this mighty idea that
it's not a pipe dream you think in your lifetime.
And it's happened in other countries, and that's why. That's why we really believe that it can happen in Haiti.
Yeah.
Talking to two wonderful sisters, God almighty, you two, chosen to live in Haiti and to try to make that country more whole. And to do that, you have to start with making the families whole. That's what they're doing now after having been through hell and back again. We'll get a break out of the way, come back. Feel free to come on in and join the conversation. You can't maybe see me anymore, but I'm in a hole and over here to the side, and heaven knows my voice carries. So we'll be back.
More is on the way with Lynn Cullen Live.
Download the brand new CP Haps app and find out what's going on in Pittsburgh. It's the fun and free app that puts the most popular events at your fingertips. Text events to 77948 to download now and register to win tickets to the Jay-Z Magna Carta World Tour coming to the Consol Energy Center January 21st. The CP Haps app brought to you by Pittsburgh City Paper.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we've got a pep talk that can motivate you.
Sometimes things don't always turn out the way you want them to.
You can improve your future. Now get your game face on and take the first step towards a better life. Hurry up. Don't make me repeat myself.
Whatever level of motivation you need, we've got a pep talk for you. Call 1-877-38-YOUR-GED or visit yourged.org for your pep talk and for free classes in your area. GED is a registered trademark of the American Council on Education. Brought to you by Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Now, it's back to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com.
I'm not getting on them. Oop. I think we're back. Yes, indeed, we are. Just talking to these two, and you were reminding me of the last time you were on. I received an email from a listener, a guy. And I forgot. I forget everything. Your memory of it was that because I forwarded it to you. And
he had been listening, and I think maybe while listening was shopping online for a new ski jacket.
Right.
And, was doing both of these things at once and decided that, what, I don't need that jacket. I can reuse last year's jacket, and donated what he was going to spend to Haitian Families First right at that minute.
And that set off an idea in your head?
Well, we had been working on a campaign that we hadn't released yet, we hadn't started yet, but it was called Give Up to Give Back, where we were challenging people, really going for people who are, that what everyone says, you're buying coffee every day. Could you go without once a week and think about how much that adds up and what impact that could have?
Do you really need that another blouse? Do you really need that pair of shoes? Right.
But, everyone uses that and says it, but this guy really did it.
He did it.
Yeah, it was
well,
really
because
cool.
you touch, obviously you really touched him, but that was so gratifying.
Yeah.
And so that's the kind of thing that you want people to think about a little bit, and think of the money to us is so disposable often. I mean, we have something called disposable income. I don't think Haitians have something called disposable income.
Yeah.
They don't. Huh?
Certainly not the families that we're working with.
No. So, again, Haitian Families First is your new... How does it work? I mean, do you have an orphanage-like facility where you're still caring for some children or not? Or you're... how do you keep families together? What do you do?
We have our office, and where I live, it also houses people temporarily, because sometimes, I mean, we deal with really poor people, so sometimes they actually don't have anywhere to live, so they'll come with us until we find them something, but it's just a transitional home. It's not somewhere where anyone lives.
And this is a whole family?
Usually a mom or
child?
the primary caregiver and the children.
Yeah, we kind of use the term safe house because it's
you can
there when people need it for a short time. But we never would just bring a child without bringing whoever that child is closest to, attached to.
And then, so from there, how do you
the issues
create a strong family?
The issues are so vast that cause children to end up in orphanages. You know, it's 3 hours of conversation, but we've kind of narrowed it down for our program's sake to educational needs, health and wellness, and nutritional needs. So kind of the most simple thing is for older children, a lot of times an orphanage will offer an education, but in exchange for a life. So they will be educated if they come and live here forever or come and live here and are adopted out of Haiti. So a simple way we can help is to help a child go to school. And the public school system there is not all-encompassing. So we work with kids who don't have the option to go to school and help them. It's about $200 for a year of schooling. And that includes everything that goes along with it, which uniforms, books, tutoring, everything. That's a simple way.
Okay.
For our health and wellness program, we've had children who suffer from malnutrition, who need basically to be hospitalized. And we'll cover those kind of costs. We help children get vaccines, receive vitamins, because once they're healthy, we want them to stay healthy, not just fall back into that pattern.
So it's a matter, though, of nutrition, getting enough food. What do they eat?
That is one thing we do, is provide supplements.
You do?
For families every week, actual food.
But a lot of it also is teaching people that buying an egg is better than buying a few bags of cheese curls.
Because, don't tell me they're buying cheese curls,
they
too.
are, but it seems like, in their mind, it's so much more. They would rather give their child more, and when you say if they want an egg, they're better off. And so just teaching things like that, with the money that they actually already have, we don't really have to give much, but to say these are the better foods, and the kids are better. And
so you're saying
barely give anything.
Cheese curls to them look like,
a lot.
It fills them. Right. It's food. You get all this, but they don't know that it has no nutritional value.
So a lot of what we do is
counseling, education.
Mm-hmm. One major program, our nutrition program, is geared towards newborns who a lot of times have lost their mother, often in childbirth or soon after. So without the ability to breastfeed, a father or often a grandfather will try to keep an infant alive by feeding them beans and rice or bread.
An infant?
Yeah, because that's just what they have. So our powdered formula program is really important for young babies like that. But it all starts with that support and counseling and education. When the clinic calls us or the hospital calls us, Jamie, myself, one of the Haitian employees that we have down there, first things first goes and talks to the family and says,
what do you want?
What is going on that you're struggling? That you feel like you have nowhere else to turn. And we're really bad at documenting it. We probably have thousands more families that we've helped, but we haven't had to enroll them in our program because we talk them through what they're going through. The numbers have to be way more massive than we even really know because...
But sometimes it really is that and this happens to all of us, you're in a situation that's so stressful and you don't know what to do and you feel like, I have to do this right now, I have to make this decision right now. And having someone sit with you and say, but what are your options? Even would your mother let you come live with her for a few months until you get on your feet? Would your sister babysit for you? Just something simple like that. And then we don't have to give them any money. We just are there and someone for them to talk to and think things through. And then the child stays with their family.
Wow. So this is really quite a... As I said, this has to be more gratifying than the gratifying work you did before. This has to be something. So you need money to do this. This is all cost. And the only way, how do you get money? Just simply from charitable donations, guys.
Yeah.
And, I'll tell you, these two ain't getting rich. I mean... I think some people can't, for the life of them, believe that you're real. You know, oh, they gotta be. Why would two lovely young women like that go live in that hellhole and blah blah blah? Do you realize that some people, I think, can't believe it?
I guess so. I know there's days when I ask myself.
Yeah, you can't believe it either.
Yeah.
What the heck am I doing here?
Yeah, but we're real. And I think there's been different things. There were different reasons that we went there in the first place, different things that drove us forward every day. But I think in the last probably 2 years, if I had to narrow it down, while we've really honed in on this vision and in accomplishing it, we know how realistic it is to accomplish this goal. And, like, to give up now would be really stupid.
So how do we give money to you?
The easiest way is to visit our website. So
Which is?
HaitianFamiliesFirst.org.
Okay.
And that's a good way, even just to learn more, to sign up for our newsletter, which we send out pretty regularly. And, of course, to donate. That's an easy place to do that.
Okay. And you are, this is a charity. These are tax-deductible contributions.
Yes.
Haitian Families First. And are you both, essentially both, I know you always lived there. You were sort of in and out. Are you still in and out?
I'm mostly here in Pittsburgh.
You are?
So I'm spending as much time there as I can, which isn't enough for me right now. But I am here in Pittsburgh really trying to work on, just
fundraising.
Expanding our network.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, I've been spending a lot of time speaking in different places to, church groups or schools, universities, things like that. So I'm going to continue to do that as long as I need to.
And you never ever, Jamie, second guess, I'm sorry, Jamie, second guess, your decision to live there.
No, it's hard sometimes, and I like coming back to Pittsburgh for a little vacation, but no, I don't. I really.
Do you have a social life there? Do you have any? You do.
Yes,
there are people that you have friends, and
I have friends.
You do.
Yes, they're all Haitian, and they're just like us. Wow,
they are.
There are restaurants. No, sometimes people really think that I'm totally secluded from the world.
Isolated somewhere. Are you in? Is where you live now in Port-au-Prince?
It is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So there are things to do and people to hang out with.
Do you find yourself worrying about the next disaster? Because, disasters come there like clockwork.
Mm-hmm.
Just by virtue of its where it's sitting, we know hurricanes are going to keep coming.
Right.
And who knew from earthquakes? I did not realize that was a possibility, but now we know that. Do you think about that?
There are times whenever I try not to think about it because you could go crazy there. There's just so much that you can think is going to go bad. Even the roads are bad, getting in a car accident, anything. And if you thought about getting kidnapped every day or anything like that, you would go crazy.
Is that something that is happening there a lot, kidnappings? I hadn't heard that about
Not
Haiti.
really for Americans, but kidnappings do happen pretty regularly. So, but there's just all of these things, and if we sat around and thought about them, we'd go crazy. So, just live.
This one's a toughie, isn't she? You think she's too tough?
Oh yeah, definitely too tough. You have to be.
You have to be. So how's your brother? Your nephew? Your brother, right?
Yeah.
Well, because after the horror of the earthquake, one of the children, right, was adopted by your parents.
Right.
Yeah.
How's he doing?
He's good. He's in second grade, and he's happy.
Yeah. And I think if I have 20 more seconds.
That's
an important.
You absolutely do. Go.
That's an important note. Is that Fredo was adopted, and there was a reason for that. And sometimes adoption is going to be necessary. So I think sometimes people think that we've completely turned on adoption, but nothing's black and white. There's always going to be
a need for that
as
too.
A last resort. In certain
some kids
cases,
don't have family. Some kids are abused. Some kids
right.
But
it's important to work through that with the family and determine that is the best option. Rather
but
than
what you saw for so many years was so many kids, and what you're still seeing,
right,
unnecessarily being taken out of their families and countries.
Right. Yeah.
You guys. All right.
Thanks for having us.
I'm doing, these are the closest things to saints I've ever personally bumped into.
Thank you.
Seriously. I want you right now to go online, because I know you're online or you wouldn't be listening, Haitian Families First.org. And I know you got something you can give. So let's do that. I'll do it too. I promise. Thank you, too.
Thanks, Lynn.
Thank you.
Oh, God. Tomorrow, I'll be back. My sister will not, so it's just you and me tomorrow, okay? I'll look forward to it. Goodbye.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.